It's This Week in HOLLYWOKE. We're looking into the problem in HOLLYWOKE, as we call it, is Hollywood's history of apparently protecting pedos. And it seems to be more apparent now than ever with the Epstein list magically disappearing and Trump blaming the conspiracy of the Epstein list because we know it never actually existed, and he's blaming it on the Dems. And as you guys know, the Democratic Party, some of the biggest donors come right here from the land of HOLLYWOKE. So they're to make that reversal doesn't really make sense because, as we know, Biden was president for 4 years before Trump, and not once did he look into Epstein. There's a reason he didn't do that. So let's go and check out the timeline, because it's always important to get historical context of what was going on during the Biden administration, because you guys are seeing the accusations, you're seeing the allocation, the association that now the Democrats are the ones that are making up the pedophilia in our country, making up that there's a Epstein Island problem with celebrities and high-end people and CEOs and powerful people, which includes Hollywood, by the way. So how are we supposed to believe that when a movie, if you guys remember this film, Sound of Freedom, had come up? It was Hollywood that did its very best to crush this film. They shelved this film, if you guys remember, and if you've seen it, it's actually an incredible film. They had to release it on their own with a company called Angel Films. Angel Films stepped up to the plate and allowed Sound of Freedom to be released 2 years ago in the summer. It was July 4th, actually, that it came out, competing with Disney. Disney Disney released the film back to the filmmakers. It was on the shelf. It was supposed to be shelved for 5 years, according to Fox Studios, who owned the rights to the film for 5 years, only to shelve it and not want anyone to see the film. When Disney bought MGM, or Fox and MGM, Fox, the contract became moot. So they were then saying, oh, what do we do with this film? Let's give it back to the filmmakers. No one's going to see it anyway. And what do you know? Angel Films releases the film, and then it happens to be on that 4th of July weekend where Disney was putting out Indiana Jones 5, and lo and behold, Sound of Freedom crushed it. But I'm going to remind you guys how bad it was at the time as far as the smear campaign that happened right here. This is just one example. A superhero movie for dads with brainworms, calling it QAnon. It's a thriller about child trafficking. It's designed to appeal to the conspiracy theorist crowd. Of course. So that is what Hollywood has always done, is protect this stuff. And I got to tell you guys, for Trump to think he can get away with rewriting history and pretending that it was the lefty, as he says, the radical left was pushing the Epstein conspiracy theory. No, they were protecting it. They were protecting Epstein, protecting pedophilia. Let's actually get a little deeper onto how far back this goes, because way before Sound of Freedom, we had a movie called Eyes Wide Shut. And if you guys remember that one, recently, the co-director of Pulp Fiction, who's on, obviously, he and Tarantino are close. They're pals. They go on Joe Rogan, and they're reminiscing on some stuff. And there's this standout moment, because they didn't go on there to talk about Eyes Wide Shut, but Eyes Wide Shut came up, and it came up in discussion. And this co-director of Pulp Fiction, his name is Roger Avery. Tarantino sitting right next to him as he explains to Rogan and his audience what is the problem with Eyes Wide Shut? What happened to that script? Because it seems like we didn't get the movie that it was supposed to be. And now Stanley Kubrick, who passed away before its release, isn't able to tell us himself. So let's hear what Roger Avery has to say about what Hollywood did to the movie Eyes Wide Shut before we saw it. Check it out.
Films are so different. And he was a weird guy, too. He did like complex mathematics in his spare time.
I just pulled my script from Eyes Wide Shut. I had a script that was from set, and I was reading it over the weekend, and I saw that it has this, I've known this for a long time, but I started really thinking about it over the weekend. It's missing a narration. It's missing a third-person narration that was originally in the movie. And that's because the movie was recut and changed after his death. and they will deny it. But as a student of Kubrick, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, oh, Kubrick wouldn't do that. Kubrick wouldn't do that either. Kubrick would have trimmed this scene.
I didn't know they recut it after his death.
Okay, so
I
apparently
think they finished it.
well, that's the party line.
That's their version,
That's the
yeah.
party line. But I think that they changed the notes, the close-ups, the inserts of the notes. I think those are changed. It's missing a narration. It's definitely missing a narration. A third-person narration, like that scene where he sees the prostitute who's died. He's at the morgue and he's looking at her, and he's like leaning over her. It's a bed for narration. There's this whole thing. What they do instead, because they couldn't say that Kubrick finished the movie because they hadn't done the recording of the narrator yet, and so maybe they just kind of kludged it together. Except there's an entire thread that's kind of been squashed in that film, and that's the two men that are throughout the movie that are constantly in the background of the film, who eventually in the final shots of the film you see, like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in that final scene in the toy store when she's looking at the Rosemary's Baby bassinet, which is totally Kubrick saying something, and they never take their eyes off their daughter until the moment they take their eyes off and the final line of the movie is coming up. You see those two guys walking off with the daughter.
I'm pausing there, guys. This is incredible because I've seen this movie several times. I never noticed that, and when he's bringing this up, this makes total sense to us right now. That this I don't want to call it a subplot, but this very important part of the script, which we're hearing directly from Roger Avery, was deliberately taken out of this film. And the reason why, it seems, and let's actually hear him finish this, but that it seems that this is, again, the Hollywood elite protecting the thing that they need to do before the audience starts asking questions. And this movie is not, then it's not allowing us to ask these questions, and we're only looking at a film that is giving us a surface idea about an elite sex club that's underground, and it's got the satanic elements to it, but we don't even think about the child sex trafficking and that part of it because they deliberately took it out. But what happened to Kubrick, that's also very odd and peculiar if you think about the timing here. So who's going to finish this up?
They're taking her away. They've given their daughter to the pedo cult. That's what's happened at the end of the movie. And there's an incident where when they first screened the movie in England, people who were outside, this is all secondhand, by the way. There were people who were outside of the theater who could hear inside of the theater Kubrick yelling at all the executives and saying, "It's my movie, you can't cut it. You can't fucking cut my film, blah, 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 blah." Big argument going on. Then he dies like 4 days later.
Oh, Jesus.
And then he dies 4 days later. Wow. So again, this idea, and I'm going to go back to this. Currently, you have the president currently trying to convince his base, the media, and everybody else that it is the radical left, i.e. HOLLYWOKE crowd, again, who Hollywood donors fund mostly the Democratic Party side. They fund both sides, but they mostly fund the Democratic Party side. So it's completely backwards here. Do not let history be rewritten. I'm telling you guys, this has always been something. Eyes Wide Shut came out in 1999. So the protection of the child sex trafficking has been there the entire time. We talked about Sound of Freedom. There's a massive campaign to make you think if you see that film, you must be a crazy right-wing QAnon psychopath. That has been the narrative. So for Trump to take this moment and think he can twist it around, we're not doing this memory hold right now. We're going to let him know, and people that support him and vote for him need to tell him this is not how it goes. It's Hollywood that protects this. And if anything, right now is a moment we can understand that they're all kind of in on it together. That's where we're at. And we need to understand that now, that both sides are going to equally protect it. They're going to keep passing it back and forth, and making your base, or the base you are part of, think it's the other side that's the problem. And here's an example of that again. So, but Hollywood will continue to protect this narrative that there is no such thing as child sex trafficking. And if there's any somebody like a Jeffrey Epstein, who's already dead, by the way, he's already long gone, Who cares anymore? He's uniquely evil, uniquely a bad apple. Get rid of the bad apple and everything will be back to normal. Just like Harvey Weinstein, by the way. Get rid of the bad apple, lock him up, throw away the key, get Hollywood back to normal. We're not playing that game anymore here in Hollywood. We know they all protect each other. It's actually not Hollywood is not functioning in a off way right now. It's not like you have to fix it. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's been doing it the whole time. We're only now figuring it out that it's always been this way. So we're the ones that are going to have to make the adjustments and the change and keep reminding people that this is not just some new phenomenon. It's been like this the whole way. And come on, no list. Are you effing kidding me? Okay, that's this week in HOLLYWOKE.